Welcome to today's Community Planning Information Meeting. Today is August the 14th, and the current time is 6:03. We are your Planning and Zoning Department. My name is Kobe. I'm the Administrative Assistant, and with me we have our Deputy Director, Mr. Ellis Steele. So you may be asking, what is the CPIM? This is an informational meeting that allows staff and applicants to inform the public of upcoming developments and projects. This meeting also allows the citizens, business owners, and developers of Stonecrest opportunities to review all petitions, ask questions of all applicants, and express any preliminary concerns. This is also an opportunity to bridge the relationships between developers, residents, and staff. The Community Planning Information Meeting occurs every second Thursday of each month. Please be respectful to applicants, citizens, and staff. Keep questions, comments, and/or concerns relevant to agenda items. Please wait to ask questions after the applicant has concluded presenting their petition. Each citizen or resident will have a maximum of 3 minutes to ask his or her questions or make a statement. We do ask that you guys fill out the comment cards if you make a comment. There were many comments that were sent in. These comments have been received and will be read into the record during the Planning Commission meeting to be held on September 2nd, 2025, or the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on September 16th, 2025. So the petitions on the agenda tonight include RZ 25-004. The petitioner is David M. Miles Construction, Inc. His parcel is located at 2374 Cove Lake Road, and the request is for a rezoning and map amendment of the parcel from MR1, medium density residential 1, to MR2, medium density residential 2, for a proposed townhome development. The second item on the agenda is V25-005. Our petitioner is Ms. Michelle Battle of Battle Law PC. Her parcel is located at 3810 Evans Mill Road, and her request is for a variance from section 14-200 of the city's code to reduce the required number of access points from 4 to 2 for a proposed residential development. And our final item on the agenda tonight is V25-006. The petitioner is Mr. Phil Ryan. His parcel is located at 6029 Hilladale Drive, and his request is for a variance from the distance requirement in section 4.2.19 of the city's code to operate a child daycare center. We're gonna go ahead and call up our first applicant. Petition or application number RZ 25-004. That's Mr. David M. Miles Construction, Inc. The location 2374 Cove Lake Road. And once again, his request is for a rezoning and map amendment of the parcel from MR1, medium density residential 1, to MR2, medium density residential 2, for a proposed townhome development. All right, thank you so much.
Maybe I'll have to push to talk. There you go.
Yes, ma'am. So once the applicant finishes her presentation, we're going to open up the floor for comments. Yeah.
I'm waiting for him to put the presentation up.
And please remember, if you are planning on making a comment, please fill out that comment card. Another thing too, we really need you guys to speak into the mic because we do take minutes. I take the minutes. So I need to hear everything that you guys say so I can have it noted down. Just so you guys, if you want to, look at what happened later on. There you go.
Are you going to put the PowerPoint up there? That would be great. Fabulous. All right. Good evening, good evening, everyone. So this first matter is involving 2374 Cove Lake. Technology. Appreciate it. So the property we're talking about today is off of Covington Highway at Cove Lake Road. This property was something that I actually worked on quite some time ago, back in 2007. It is currently zoned MR1, subject to conditions, and we'll talk about those. It sits behind the C1 parcel that has frontage along Cove Lake. So the only um, frontage that this property has is on Cove Lake Road. And back in 2007, we were able to work with the prior owner to rezone the property to MR 100 for 63 fee simple townhome units. And it was approved by the DeKalb County Board of Commissioners, subject to 14 conditions. And those 14 conditions are what you're seeing here. So once the property has been rezoned and the conditions have been set, it runs with the land. So it doesn't matter that the property has switched hands a number of times. Where we are now is that those are the conditions that apply to the property, and that is what it can be can be utilized for at this time. My client did seek, and I know many of you probably are here from Cove Lake, and recall when he was seeking to develop a self-storage facility on the property and wanted to rezone the property to allow for that. That never happened, never went through. And at this time, he is elected to go ahead and have the property developed as currently zoned. The challenge that we ran into was that the zoning ordinance in DeKalb County changed in 2015. When that changed, the RM 100 zoning district was changed to MR1. And under MR1, the zoning district regulations were modified. And so as a result of that, the current zoning code requires that the minimum lot size or width of each townhome unit that was proposed be 25 feet. And the site plan that we got approved based on well, actually, it didn't get approved specifically on the site plan, but the intent was to develop units that were roughly 20 feet in width. 25 is actually not a width. It's one of the things that I've been trying to work both with DeKalb County on, not so much with the city of Stonecrest, but developers build typically, I guess, in even numbers, 24, 22. They don't build at 25 feet of width. And that's just a disconnect between planning and what the development community typically does. But in this instance, Stonecrest is interpreting that as meaning that the minimum width of the lot has to be 25 feet. And so as a result, we cannot effectuate the plan that was originally conceived for those 63 units. So we are asking to rezone the property to MR2 that will allow for minimum widths of 20 feet. And that would allow us to proceed with the site plan in virtually the same layout as had been previously approved, obviously, as well with some additional changes that are now required under the current zoning ordinance. So the plan that we are showing here, I believe, is the original plan that was proposed. And this is the revised plan. So you can see they're pretty similar in terms of layout. It's still only 63 lots. We are proposing a entrance off of Cove Lake. The zoning ordinance, not the zoning, the land development ordinance in Stonecrest only requires one point of entry. And so we do have that point of entry onto Cove Lake for the 63 units. The layout still requires us to do what they call rear entry units. And so all of the units are accessible through an alleyway, so that if you were walking down that community, you would see the fronts of the units closer to the street And it would have more of a pedestrian feel with all the sidewalks that will be throughout the project. That was also something that was required at the time that we did the original zoning. And let me go back because I'm trying to think about that. Yeah, the original zoning also had alleyways for access. So we are not interfering with that. So there's no, as I say, front entry um, townhome units. All of them are still rear entry townhome units. And we did ask for one change, which the applicant is very flexible on. We thought that we do have a pocket park, and there was also a greenway that is now required under the zoning requirements under MR2 and the open space requirements under the MR2 zoning district regulations, which is what we're seeking to rezone to. That requires a certain amount of greenway, green space that is around the perimeter of the site, in addition to the open space that you see on the bottom side of the project. So we've got this 50-foot transitional buffer, which abuts the existing homes in Cove Lake. And then we also have a 2,000 square foot greenway that runs around the perimeter going up behind the commercial project that is on the other side of the site on the north. I guess that's technically the west, east side of the site. We also have a pocket park that is located on the property. There will be underground detention, so there will not be an above-ground detention pond, which is also a plus. You won't have, the people within the community won't have that issue. We did obtain quite some time ago, we worked with the city of Stonecrest quite some time ago for a sanitary sewer easement, and we were able to obtain that to the property. So we do have access to public sewer as well. There will be a mail kiosk that will also be adjacent to where the pocket park is located at. We did look at that being just a dog park, but we are fine with leaving it as a pocket park with amenity area if that is preferable for the community. These are samples of the type of elevations we would be looking at. Again, you can see here, none of these have a garage entrance on the front. All the garage entrances, again, are on the rear. We think that that's a really nice look. A lot of builders, quite honestly, don't like to do the rear entry units, but that is what was conditioned back in 2007, and we are not trying to challenge that. We will continue with that rear entry look. And so with that, those are my comments, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Ma'am. All right, thank you so much, Ms. Battle. So now we're gonna allow you guys to come up to ask questions. We have a microphone right here. If you want, you can go ahead and form a line. And then I guess we can have it as if you guys are having a conversation back and forth.
You might want to reduce that height for her, or she can just take the mic.
Oh,
And if you can, state your name as well as your association with the city, that would be great.
hello, can you hear? Okay. My name is Sandra Brown. I've been in the Cold Lake subdivision since 1999. I've been.
And you should remember me.
I don't.
Well, we negotiated very heavily with Cove Lake when we did this back in 2007. But yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Well, then, as you know,
Mhm.
that Cove Lake in that whole area has a draining problem.
Mhm.
And I noticed you mentioned that. So I would like to know, what is an underground?
So detention ponds are what we are required to have in order to detain water before it is released from the site. When a site is particularly 100% unimproved, the water typically is being either absorbed into the ground, and then there's also some sheet flow that comes off of the property. So sometimes you may see puddling up because the water just can't absorb all of that. The detention pond is something that is built based on the basin that it's in and also the volume, the amount of impervious surface that's going to be placed on that property. And they have to make sure that that water does not run off at a rate that's greater than it does when it's absorbed now into the ground. And in fact, I believe the requirement is to reduce that by an additional 10%. So the volume and the size of the detention pond is there to capture water, hold it, and release it at a slower rate than what it's being released now. With that being said, you can have an above ground pond, which is the ones that you see that maybe have, back in the day, they used to have a lot of concrete. They were these big concrete, look like bowls or something that the water would go into and stay there, and people would complain because, I got, you know, flies or bugs or whatever, mosquitoes coming. Or you can do them underground where there's a vault and you don't see it. You'll never see it. It doesn't impact you. The water goes in there and it comes out through a piping system. And so that is what they are proposing. They will not have an above ground pond. It will be a below ground pond. So you will not see the pond. It'll have grass over top of it.
That sounds really good, but I want to give you some history of that development out there,
Mhm.
and so that you would be aware. I'm not complaining, but
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to understand the problems that
Mhm.
that area is built slow. We are still, oh, okay. That area is still built on a slope. And the homeowners out there with the previous developer for Cove Lakes, actually, the developer, we feel, didn't do a very good job. So we still have water retention. We still have erosion. We had what we thought was a lake, but now we're aware that that was some type of detention pond. Do you remember that?
So a lot of times, some back in the day, they did use the ponds oftentimes for detention purposes as well. So yeah.
Well, DeKalb County came out and they released all the water out.
Hmm.
And it was called Cold Lake because we were told it was a lake, but it wasn't a lake. It was really a retention pond.
Hmm.
And many of us, again, we're still having problems with erosion. We're still having problems with water settling. And my question today was going to be to make sure that we're not going to be negatively impacted, because where you're building, that's a slope too.
Do you all have drop inlets and stuff within your community? Does stormwater, any kind of?
Well, they just paved the road, and I saw, and up under the pavement, there was some brown, I guess that's what it's. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Um, so can somebody else answer that from Cove Lake?
I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah.
So what I would say is this is information and I will pass along to the developer. I'm not sure whether or not there's any way for them to assist with the challenges that you all are having. But what we know is that we can't, by law, we can't make your situation worse. I know it's not good now,
Well, that's
but we cannot make it worse.
okay.
We are by law required not to make it worse. The other component, though, is we have to do a hydrology study. And that hydrology study is that just the study of the water and how it is being released from the property and how it will be released from the property. That is a part of the requirements when we go through the land development permitting process. So that hydrology study will be open and available if the community wants to review it or have somebody look at it to ensure that it's not, you're not going to have any blowback on you because of how the hydrology is being done on the site. This site will be graded. And so the civil engineer is responsible for making sure that our detention pond, or our underground detention, should I say, that the vault is big enough to handle all of the water and release it so that it does not impact you all. That is part of their job as a civil engineer. Now, anything past this, I had to get a civil engineer up here. I've given you all that I can. But that is something that we can certainly look at. And I know that we're going to be having another meeting with Cove Lake. And I will make sure that our engineer, I think he was actually on the call the other night. I know I was not able to be on that call, but I will be on the next call. And his name is Mark Walton. And I believe he was on the call, but I don't know that you all asked him any questions. But he will be on that call. I'll make sure he's on that call and able to answer questions that you all may have surrounding the detention issue.
Okay. Well, I'm going to submit my comments along with this form so
Yes, ma'am.
everybody's aware. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that information.
Any other questions? Please come up to the mic.
We have one young lady was coming up. Okay, she said you could go before her. Uh-oh. No, that's not this. I know I got lots of fans tonight. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Neva Jones Foster, and I just had a question. I'm not here for this particular issue, but my question is that you all want to amend, let's see, this is for rezoning and from MR1 to MR2. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I might not have all the proper terminology, but I recall you saying something about the MR1 back in 2000 and what was it, 7?
7. Mhm.
When you all first.
It didn't even exist. MR1 didn't exist. It was RM100.
But then at that time, you all had built for 20 feet.
20-foot wide units.
20
Yes, ma'am.
And so now the MR1 is for 25 feet.
A minimum, yes.
So my question is, why don't you all go back, redo your drawings to adhere to Stonecrest's 25 feet request? Because obviously that request has been put in place for a reason so that we don't have all these little tiny townhouses all throughout the DeKalb County.
Mhm.
I mean, everywhere you go, you see all these little tiny townhouses everywhere, and it's all up and down covered in highway.
Okay.
But my point is,
Mhm.
build quality.
Okay.
If you all want to come here, put quality in our neighborhood. And if the zoning is for 25 feet, go back, redo your drawings, make it 25 feet so that you have a quality unit in our community. Thank you.
So for good or bad, I know a large portion of the townhome communities have been developed along Covington Highway. I've probably had involvement in quite a few of them. I think that there's a misconception that you can't have, that big means quality. I've seen a lot of big things that are not quality, and I've seen a lot of small things that are high quality. It's all about preference and having a diversity of product. We're in a time in which many of the townhomes that are being developed are being sold and bought at prices that I venture to guess, at least for myself, I never would have expected a townhome to be selling at $300,000 to $350,000 for a townhome unit, even that 20-foot width townhome unit. There was a time along this corridor that townhomes were selling for about 150. I'm sure some of you all remember those times. A lot of the ones that were built at a time when they were selling for 150. Those prices have more than doubled. They are often more expensive because we're only talking about roughly 1,400 to 1,600 square feet. At a price per square foot, they are more expensive than most of the homes that most of us are living in, including myself, because of changes in the market, changes in the cost of improvements, changes in the cost of lumber, changes in the cost of all of the things that go into creating those units. So it is not that it is low quality because it is smaller in width. It's about what's it built with, what does it look like within its interiors, what kind of finishes are there going to be. That's what makes, whether it's a house or a townhome, valuable. I can build a really big house that's cheap, and that doesn't do this community any good either. So it is a balancing out that we have to look at. We can't look at big is better, just like you can't look at, and I'll say this, just because it has brick doesn't mean it's better. I've seen some really bad looking and not well kept brick homes that look like little prisons. because they were not designed to look very attractive. They got the brick, but they're not necessarily that attractive. Whereas I've also seen a lot of homes that are made out of complete hardy plank, a lot of the cottage homes and things that are being built now that are really high end. People are paying $4, $5, $6, $700,000 for homes that don't have one lick of brick on it. So it's about the quality of the builder, what they're building, what the finishes are, how it's designed. That's one of the things that I think is really great about this product is that it's not a front entry product. If you have gone into neighborhoods that have front entry is not bad. I have a lot of clients who do front entry townhomes, but there is something about that rear entry that makes it just look nicer. It gives an opportunity to take the cars off the front, not have, people just parking all over. There are opportunities there that I think were actually negotiated back in 2007. Those were tough negotiations, and we negotiated so that the property had the volume of units that was necessary to make the project, as they say, pencil. You've got to be able to sell enough units to make the project work. And if we reduce the number of units, you actually are probably putting yourself more in a position of having units that are of less quality just because it's bigger. But now they have to spread that money differently. You're not changing the amount of infrastructure. The infrastructure and the number of streets you put in there stays the same. So that just means that the people, instead of the units being 350, now the units are going to be closer to 400. Well, are those going to sell? Because I can promise you this, Cove Lake is not going to want a pipe farm in front of their beautiful subdivision because they can't sell the homes because the townhomes are overpriced. So this is an opportunity for us to just come forward with all transparency. We're trying to do exactly what we told Cove Lake we were going to do back in 2007. We're trying to stick to that plan. The changes that were made in the code are unfortunate that there's somewhat of a lack, and it's not on Stonecrest because this came out of DeKalb County, that there's a bit of a lack of understanding of how the building community looks at width in terms of townhome units. And so we are trying to do our best to stick to what the original agreement was with the community. And the community at that time agreed to the 2007 plan. We are trying to stay within that plan. And we've made some improvements, and we ask that the community consider what we're asking for. Yes, ma'am. I'm looking at you.
It's Marty Garrison. My address is 2399 Lake Cove Court. And my concern is that we are now dealing with an agreement that was done in 2007. Our neighborhood has changed tremendously since then.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's possible for us to go back and maybe redo that. Mr. Miles does seem to be interested in our thoughts, but we are now dealing with safety issues, especially since that Circle K has gone up there.
That
We're
was
dealing
expansion.
with break-ins. We're dealing with, and now we're talking about 63 more units in an area that is very, very small. The effect that it has on our community as far as traffic is concerned, the accidents at that intersection there is horrific. The neighbors coming in and out is very difficult, and these units, the way they are designed now, would be more stressful. There's only one way in and out of those townhomes. You're putting it on a street where we already have 113 homes, and now we have a gas station over there that is 24 hours, and it's a safety issue for us. And I don't know if it's possible because I don't know the rules. If we can look at the entire plan again, uh, Mr. Miles did bring to us about the storage facility, and it seemed like it was a win-win situation for both of us. And then all of a sudden we got cut off at the knees, and now we back to 2007. If it's possible, because right now I would have to oppose it no matter what it was, based on safety and where our community is at today. is there any kind of way we can go back to the drawing board and take a look at this project?
It is something that I will take back to Mr. Miles. I'm not sure why he dropped um, the the storage facility. I know that at that time, originally, when he spoke to me about it, I wasn't certain that the community, quite honestly, would even support something like that. I know with the storage facility directly across the street, that may have influenced why it dropped. I'm not certain. I know he was very excited about it at one point. But that's something I certainly am willing to go back, but I'm not certain if everybody in the community feels that way or just you feel that way.
To my understanding, and I was president at the time when these negotiations was going on, we were very excited about it
Okay.
because of the
I'm
safety.
glad to know. I told him I didn't think you all would like it, so
Oh, we
that's so much for me.
either one. However, we had to choose based on our situation what was best
Gotcha.
for the community. And to our understanding, we in the process of his attorney putting together paperwork, our attorney putting together paperwork, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
we got news that the city of Stonecrest put in an ordinance that kept him
Oh, that's right.
doing
Actually,
which facility
that's exactly what happened.
off at the knees.
That's exact. Now it's coming to me.
Back
Yes.
in 2007.
Yes. And that is correct. You have one of your council members right here. The city made that, the board made that decision that does not allow self-storage facilities under C1. You've got to be primarily in an industrial area now. And so even though there's much less traffic and I think, probably more safety there, that was the decision that the city made. And so at that point, he could not move forward with the project. So that's why you're back where you are. I don't think that's where he wants to be, but this is, we got to work with what we have because the city was not willing to allow self-storage facilities anymore in those kind of locations. So not sure what to say on that front. I wish it wasn't that way. I'm fine. Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
15.
You can hold the mic if you need to bring it closer to your mouth.
That to me, but I with a friend of mine, because I don't know how to Zoom, so I with a friend of mine. When I was cutting my subdivision a few weeks ago with the information about, and you had a picture, and I thought it was the wrong, area. But then when they said that it's from 2007.
Mhm.
And I say, well, since I've seen different kind of property, people looking at property, I ain't never heard of this from a 2007.
Mhm.
So, since that, how many subdivisions, how many condos? Now they got that gas stations right here. They built up for that gas station, said they was gonna do this. They say they gonna do that, and then they did do it, and they still trying to get stuff. Now, I don't know who is the builder. And at this point, I don't know who they is, what kind of anything like that.
Mhm.
You should discuss us about who it
We,
is.
we, my hope is that by the time we have our meeting on the 4th, I will have that information.
Yeah.
Yep.
Show me that picture
Mhm.
of all them 63 condos and a dog park. And I say, well, saying about sewer. Now, how was the runoff? Especially now, see, now I'm not close to right there at the property right there, but I'm concerned my neighbor because it be down there. Say we can't guarantee exactly how that runoff is going to be. You just said now they're not going to have a overflow like most of the condos. Condos have disputes when the water run out. You all put a hole. They all put a hole in condos. They all put it around the holes right there, so people's run out. What they run out.
Right. It's going to be a detention pond, but it will be underground. It won't be above ground. That's actually more expensive.
So how is that gonna set up? That condo too?
It'll all be piped. So the underground stormwater system will run into that underground detention pond.
So
So all your downspouts and all that kind of stuff, everything will eventually trail into that underground detention. That is what the yes, sir. Into the underground detention pond, and then it will be released. Now, I told you, I will have the civil engineer. You're getting to the end of my abilities. So I'm not going to tell you something that I don't know the answer to, but I can tell you how it's going to get to the pond. Now, how it gets out of the pond is beyond my abilities. I'm just a lowly lawyer. I am not a civil engineer. Come to the meeting come to the meeting on, I think it's going to be on September 4th. Come to that meeting and we'll tell you what's going on. Or no, actually, don't take that September 4th. I'm not the one that's in charge of that. See, I'm trailing into somebody else's job again. I think we're talking about like the 21st or something now, I believe. Okay. Mhm.
Condos, or we got enough condos now?
Well, what I would say to you is that the property is already zoned, even if we, if by some chance we don't get the rezoning, the property is still zoned for those townhomes. It is what it is. Huh?
They seen them, that picture before, them 63 condo.
Let's be clear. Well, condos is just a form of ownership, but they're fee simple townhomes. And I'd be happy to share with you all the resolution from 2007, which shows it gives you at least what the requirements are and what the site plan was that we showed to the city, to the commissioners at that time in 2007.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the way zoning works. Once it gets zoned and it gets conditions placed on it for a particular project, that runs with the land until somebody comes and changes it again. So you're not the only one that's sitting in this moment.
I was shocked when they said 2007.
Yes, sir. I have zonings that go back to 1987. I've got somebody in DeKalb County trying to require us to do a plan that was done in 1974. So some people want the plan from 1974. Some people don't. Right. That's what I say, but okay. But I understand.
Like I say, well, we're gonna monitor what I see once you say you're gonna tell us who is gonna be the builder.
I'm hopeful that I will have that information by the time we meet again. Yes.
Yeah, development. They said they're gonna do this,
Mhm.
and at the end, then we are set up and trying to fix up what they don't fix, what they supposed to do.
Well, I can tell you this, here in Stonecrest, it's not an easy ride. So if it's in the conditions, then they're gonna make us stick to whatever is in those conditions. I can promise you that. And maybe some things that weren't in the conditions, that we may cry over and, fight over and everything else. But at the end of the day, this is not an easy ride through here to get anything done, particularly, when it comes to housing. So they're very sensitive to your issues.
Okay, we're done with that gas station. Thank you.
Okay. I can't tell you about the gas station. It had nothing to do with that.
All righty, is there anyone else that would like to make a comment?
How you doing? My name is Marilyn Sharkey. I actually stay on Cove Lake, Cove Lake Road. 2 houses away from where everybody would be entering
Mhm.
and exiting out of the community. And my concern is about it only having one-way entry. So I think it's not it's a safety concern. And again, we have the traffic from the gas stations and also the crime from the gas stations. So I know we can't prevent, the builder from building something. I would also like Mr. Miles to really, really consider if something's or townhomes will be built to consider the playground instead of a dog park.
I think that's not a problem.
And then also there have to be more than one way, not have to, but it should be for safety reasons, and the traffic and all of that should be more than one way in and out. Like I said, I stay on Cove Lake, so it will definitely impact me.
Understood.
And what was drew up in or drawn up back in 2007. I've been in the community since 2017, so I don't know anything about it. I was on the meetings when Mr. Miles was saying about the storage unit. I was on all of those meetings, and then, like Miss Marty said, all of that was bamboozled or whatever. It
There was
didn't
no
happen.
bamboozle. Talk to the city council. I have nothing to do with that.
So my question is, when you say there can't be two storage units so close together,
No, I said, I didn't, I was trying to figure out why that didn't happen. And now I remember someone was graciously there to tell me that it was because the rules changed. So you don't have a self-storage facility because city council made it impossible for you to get one.
okay, all right, because I was gonna say the other storage across the street, is that considered Stonecrest too, or is that DeKalb County?
I think that's unincorporated DeKalb.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And they don't have that rule.
Right now, I'm opposing only because I want terms and conditions to be met as far as really interested in a playground and more than one way in and out.
Understood.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Rufus Crenshaw. I too am a resident of Stonecrest. I live at 5735 Lakeview Circle, which is right off of Cold Lake. I'm understanding that this project is something that's going to go forward. But what I don't understand is, again, the safety issue of having one way into this facility and one way out. I don't understand with the way times have evolved and changed. Why is it they have not came up with a better solution to have access for them to get in and out on Overton instead of just on out of Cole?
Because we don't own the property in front of us. The C1 property that's in front of us, they don't own.
So they can't go around that,
They'd have to go through that.
which later on someone's gonna develop.
I don't know what's happening with that property, honestly. I can see if my client has any information on it. I don't know if they tried to acquire it or not. But to my knowledge, it is Zone C1. And to my knowledge, it doesn't have, I don't know what the owner of that property is going to do with it.
Will they be working to maintain the roads differently as far as the lighting system and traffic?
They will have to put in sidewalks, they'll have to put in lights, all that stuff along Cove Lake, yes.
Because right now, I'm a new resident.
Mhm.
Cold Lake is a wonderful residence, but Covington Highway is an accident waiting to happen.
Understood.
Just trying to get onto Cold Lake, you got a blind spot of the traffic that's coming over a hill. All that affects us, and we want to know what's going to be done to prevent these things from happening.
Understood. What I hear, and I get it, there's an access issue. I will have to address that.
Yes, ma'am, and that's why I oppose this
We can do.
this decision right now, because they haven't gave us any other information to help us decide.
So all I can tell you is that we don't own the property in front of us. Everybody wants a second entrance point. I don't even know if it would be possible to have a second entrance point, even if they owned that property, because there are some distance requirements between access points onto the right of way. And I believe that Covington Highway in that spot is a GDOT road, which means that GDOT controls how many curb cuts you can actually place onto Covington Highway. So these are questions. I appreciate the information, and it gives me an opportunity to go back and try and see if I can get some answers for you. So I'm promising you all that I will go back and see if I can get some answers for us. Okay? I understand where you're coming from. Y'all are making me sweat up here, and I got another one. And they're gonna make me sweat even harder than you all are making me sweat. So can you give a girl a break? It's been a long day. Go ahead.
Good evening.
I'm getting old. I'm gonna have to retire here in a minute. Go ahead.
My name is Angela Sanford, and I am
Yes,
a
ma'am.
16-year resident of the Cove Lake subdivision.
Yes, ma'am.
I oppose
I got you.
the entrance from the new supposedly development that's going to take place coming into the Cove Lake Road.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a very dangerous intersection. I tried to make a right-hand turn when I thought I was safe to make that right-hand turn, and a car came over that hill and almost hit me, almost T-boned me. People run that light. There's going to be a lot more traffic coming off of Covington Highway into that little road. Big
Has there
trucks
been
and
any
everything.
conversation with GDOT about you all's issues? Because they made those improvements to the right of way. And has anybody made any comments to them?
A long time.
I tell you
long
what, I will make the comments to them. I've had to do this.
A couple of years ago, I went to that meeting and they asked us our opinion about what we wanted to see and what we were having a problem with.
Okay.
I don't know what happened with that.
Okay, well, we will reach out to, I think it's District 7 for GDOT. I've got a contact there, and I've told you all, I get it. I can't change it right here.
Okay,
You got to give me time.
okay,
So all 60 of you all can come up and tell me, but I
Okay.
can't do anything today.
all right,
Give me a chance.
all right,
You gonna give me a chance?
we'll try.
Thank you. That's all I ask.
And this, I got two more things,
Okay,
things, and
yes,
it is
ma'am.
really not related to Cove Lake,
Uh-oh.
but it's for the commissioners of anybody's here. Where are the police on Covington Highway? We need some police to cut down on the traffic, speeding traffic, people doing crazy stuff on Covington, people getting killed. You building more townhomes, that's more people walking the streets. Sidewalks ain't gonna do no good when they're trying to get from one place to the other and people are running over them. And one last thing, code enforcement, some homeless people have moved into the cemetery on Panola Road. They have cut down the trees, they put up clothesline, they got a little trailer back there. I mean, if that's the beginning of something big about to happen.
Down by the railroad tracks?
Oh, the cemetery.
The cemetery, in the cemetery right before the railroad track, before you cross over to Stone Mountain, Lithonia?
Oh, no, honey, you way off.
Which
This
way?
Panola Road. Right across from Quick Trip.
Yes.
Yes, cemetery.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we need to look at that,
Yes, ma'am.
Crest.
Okay, well, he's here. I think he's back there in the back.
Okay.
Okay. Y'all through with me now?
All right, everybody. All right.
Okay, on to the next.
All right, you guys,
Next
thank you
beat
so
down.
much for your comments. We're gonna go ahead and close out this application. For this particular application, the next meeting is Planning Commission, which will be hosted on September the 2nd. The last and final meeting, if all goes well, is Mayor and City Council. That's when the final decision of the application will be made. That is September 22nd of this year. For the comment cards, if you guys can do me a huge favor, you can leave it on the table in the very back. I will pick them up at the end of the meeting. All right, you guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and move on to our second item on the agenda. This is V25-005. Ms. Michelle Battle is the petitioner for this application as well. This parcel is located at 3810 Evans Mill Road, and her request is for a variance from section 14-200 of the city's code to reduce the required number of access points from 4 to 2 for proposed residential developments.
Gotta wait for the young man to put me back up on the screen. Yeah. I tried to do something, it didn't work. There it is. Great. Okay, another challenging moment. Man, all you all here left for me still. Okay.
And just a gentle reminder, please be sure if you made a comment, please make sure you fill out that comment card. Very, very important.
So the subject property is located here off of Reynard Trail, Fox Den Trail, and Fox Croft, which is in the Bramblevine community, and Reynard and Fox Den are out of the not Hidden Hills, my God, Hunter's Trail community, Hunter's Hill. I'm sorry, it's just been a long day, but Hunter's Hill community. This is the property that's outlined. It is currently zoned R100. We are not seeking any type of rezoning of this property. This is an access issue that has been raised by the planning department. So under the Stonecrest Land Development Ordinance, any project that has over 300 units requires 4 minimum points of access that at some point hit to at least a collector street. And Salem Road, as we see up above, is a collector street. When the Hunters Hill community was developed, the code was different. At that time, Hunters Hill was allowed to have just 1 point of entry, despite the fact that it has 193 homes. Under current code, you would be required to have a minimum of 3 points of entry. The Bramble Vine community, it has a total of 138 homes. And under the code, it would be required to have 2 points of entry, and it does have 2 points of entry. So that is consistent with what the requirements are. The property that we have sits with frontage that allows access technically, or would allow access to both subdivisions. One being Hunters Hill through Reynard Terrace and Foxden, and the other being Foxcroft into Bramble. We know that when we were looking at, and the developer Parkland was looking at this site and acquired this site, which was back in roughly 2020, there was no indication that we were going to have any issue with regards to access. And at that time, they were actually considering seeking a rezoning of the property, but they dropped that. Many of you probably will remember the conversation that we had back in 2020, where the property on the other side, which is now owned by Meritage Homes, and they are doing that development. Parkland, because they were under contract with the Nature Preserve, I think it was, they bought the property from them to make sure that they got, to honor their agreement with them. But then they sold, before any development occurred, they sold the property to Meritage, and Meritage took over doing the project off of Rock Springs. So Parkland has zero to do with what is happening on that property. They don't own it. They owned it for a split second in time. They sold it off to Meritage, and all they were left with was the piece that we are here talking about today, which has a number of streams on the property. However, there is some developable area, and they would like to develop 47 homes on that property. All the homes meet the R100 conditions, so we're not seeking to rezone. They all will be 15,000 square foot lots. However, when we met with staff, they indicated that because of the homes being added into the area, that we had to address the access issue management problem. Different than the one that we just talked about, only because within that context, I believe we are still allowed to come on to a residential arterial street. But if you look at Hunters Hill, because you've got 193 units, but only 1 point of access, anything additional coming in there would push you into the next requirement, which would be a minimum of 3 point, well, you're already at 3 points of access that you need. And us coming in actually doesn't push you more than that 3. It just means that we need 2 more points of access, according to Stonecrest's interpretation now of basically combining all of the lots into one big subdivision to make it appear as one big subdivision coming out onto this collector street. So what we looked at to try and address this issue, because my client does certainly have a right to develop, the city and the county have not acquired this property. It is developable property. And so what we proposed was what you see in front of you now, which was to have 2 points of entry onto Fox Den Trail with that 1 point of entry, and then 1 point of entry onto Foxcroft Court. And that would allow then access to the 2 points of entry off of Foxcroft and the one for Hunter's Hill. And therefore, in theory, if there was an accident or something that blocked the entrance into Hunter's Hill such that emergency vehicles, because this is the access management is a lot about fire and safety. And if that point of access into Hunter's Hill is ever cut off and fire and safety can't get in from traffic, whatever it is, then whoever is in there needing that assistance won't get it in a timely manner. And so the thought was to have 2 other points of entry that would allow or to come in through Bramble Vine that would then allow access through this proposed subdivision into Hunter's Hill. We met with the fire department chief Lab. We showed him basically the 2 existing subdivisions being Bramble Vine and Hunter's Hill. And there's also what they call a remoteness requirement that you can have 2 points of entry, but for fire and safety, they have to be 2 remote points of entry. We do qualify for that based on Chief Lab's interpretation of the fire code. And after his review and our proposal, he indicated support for having what in essence would be 3 points of entry allowed into both Bramble Vine, the subdivision that we're looking at, and Hunter's Hill, because you would be looking at the existing 2 points of entry into Bramble Vine and the 1 point of entry into Hunter's Hill off of Salem. And so if you were coming in through Bramble Vine, you would be able to come in through either of these 2 streets, go through Bramble Vine Circle, and then to Foxtrot to be able to come in through here and access either Fox Den Trail or Renard Trail if there was some type of fire or emergency that called for another point of access to ensure that whomever is within Hunter's Hill would be able to get fire and safety services. Now, there are a number of different ways that we believe that this could be addressed. We wanted to have a meeting with the Hunter's Hill, particularly, we know that you all have an HOA. I'm not sure if, I'm hopeful that maybe the president of that HOA is here. I think it's a combined 100's community, so I think it includes Chase and Pace and something and Hill all together. We had reached out through the info at whatever the email address was, and I never received any responses back. So I'm not sure if maybe I have the wrong email address now, but we took the one that was off the sign. We wanted to have and still want to have a conversation with you all. We know how much this is impacting. We want to look at alternatives or other options. We know that, for example, we have not talked about this with staff or with Chief Lab, but in some instances, we've been in communities where we can do an emergency only access so that it wouldn't be an open access all the time, whether that means not having access to Fox Den and Renard Trail, just one of the 2, and have it only as an emergency entrance is an option that we certainly would be willing to explore with Chief Lab if that would be acceptable. We know that the homes in the 2 subdivisions are not commensurate in terms of style, stylistic things, in terms of, you all have a lot more, in Hunter's Hill, you have a lot more brick and larger homes in that space than Bramble Vine, so we also are sensitive to that. And at the same time, we want to figure out a solution that will allow the project to move forward without us having to go through other means in order to address this issue. So we are prepared and happy to try and meet with the community, both communities. I'm not sure. We tried to have a meeting the other day, and I apologize that the notices may not have gotten out such that you all were able to attend that meeting. We do want to have another meeting. We'd like to schedule that for September 4th. I've got a full plate next week, and I'm on vacation. Thank you, Jesus, the last week in August. And so the earliest I can get to have a meeting, because I want to be present at that meeting, would be September 4th. And you all will be able to ask any other questions that I cannot answer here. I do have Kevin Clark with Parkland here with me tonight. We did do a traffic study as well to try and anticipate some of the questions that may arise. At least through the traffic report, there was an indication that we are not going to be majorly impacting traffic with regards to access to Salem Road. And you all are happy, and I'll give you a copy of that traffic report, the information I have here. But I don't really think that that's the issue. I think the issue is more about, the sanctity of your community, wanting to try and keep it kind of in the way that it has always existed. You've lived there. You don't want anything else there. All of those things that come up. As I got you. I'm anticipating the blow that I'm going to get. So trust me, I already know. Don't knock me down with that. What I'm trying to see is whether or not we can have conversation. We know that, for example, there are you all have your amenity area, whether or not you all would, if there was some way that whether we had access or not have access or only an emergency access, if we were able to, work cooperatively, maybe in which the new subdivision, because it's going to have its own mandatory homeowners association. It will have annual dues that it has to pay with regards to, and those will be mandatory. So to the extent that there might be some compromise or some work that, they may have access to your, to Hunters Hills area for a price for money to help, look, hold on, don't beat me down yet. I'm just throwing out things that we've looked at as possibilities. What we're trying to do is bring new families into community. We know that there are a lot of people that need homes. We're in a housing crisis. We believe that these will be, we know that they will be quality homes. We will have some elevations by that time to give you a better sense of what the style and look are. But we are very comfortable whether the access point is from Hidden Hills or whether the access point is from Bramble Vine. If it's from Bramble Vine, that's fine, as long as we can get the fire chief to agree that the only point of access would be one that would be accessible through what they call a Knox box. That is fenced off, only the police can get through it, such that if there was a fire event or a safety event, only the police or fire would be able to access. That is a possibility. So we want to be able to sit and have conversation and talk about what the possibilities might be. So I'm going to end there because I know I'm going to get a barrage of questions, and probably all of them saying we just don't want you. But what I would ask, because I know we've got one more applicant here, if one person could just, y'all can all just stand up and say we don't want you. That's fine. And then can't we go ahead, get it out the way, and then we don't want you. We don't want you. Okay. And whoever your spokesperson is, what we would ask is if we could have a meeting. Again, we were proposing September 4th to have a meeting to have some dialogue and see, is there anyone here from Bramblevine? Anybody from Bramblevine? Okay. So again, I figured Hunters Hill was going to be the challenge. So we are here to hear your responses and to just ask you if you would be willing to meet with us.
Rachel. Hello. I can't hear it. My name is Rachel Ziegler, ChelZeigler. I'm currently the president of Hunters Homeowners Association.
I live at 5617 Foxton Trail, and I am a member of Hunters since 1986. We're here to get some information. The request of what you requested on the parent side is totally different from what you just explained.
Hmm.
On the
Mhm.
states, the variance sign states that the question is that the law is that the variances are for four, requirement is that four access points be available, and you're asking to propose it down to.
Actually, it's three. I'm not sure why that came in as two, but it's three.
So we got.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, we have some questions. Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. First, seek understand, and then to be understood. So with that being said, the address for that property is 3810 Evans Mill Road. On your diagram, I say nothing goes out to Evans Mill Road.
That's the address that the GIS department gives. We have nothing to do with that. I don't know why they do that.
Because if it's
Makes none to me either.
that to me would be where there would be an access out to Evans Mill Road.
Makes no sense to me either, but that's the address that they gave us.
Okay. So with that being said, the only two pieces or two other areas of access that affect us would be Foxton Trail and then Renard Trail.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. If that is the case, I want to let you know the two proposed entry points include those two areas that Hunters community, be it opposed to this variance request as it relates to Renard Trail and Foxton Trail rights of way. These variances increase in the traffic flow, both entering and exiting the subdivision onto Salem Road, sets up potential danger for an already heavily trafficked street. We've had accidents there. In fact, last month, a lady ran into the light post, split it, and that was in front of right, leaving us going into Bramblevine. People come around that curve very quickly. We have to sit to enter the subdivision and look through the trees to make sure cars aren't coming because they come around. We have had one of our neighbors have a T-bone accident right at that entrance for the traffic. We've had tremendous buildup over in Flat Shoals area. We get that traffic coming down Evans Mill, and everyone uses Salem. It's a traffic issue, and that's something, again, we need to address with Stonecrest City. We're requesting also a reason the proposed variance request be reduced the quality of life for our current residents. You know, we have many seniors in our community. Most of us have been there over 40 years. Okay? And so therefore, we're requesting that the city of Stonecrest zoning board rescind this variance rights and any current development as it relates to this area. I understand, like you said, the change has occurred, but we have a lot of houses in there. Having some additional homes come through there is just going to impede our area. We thank you for your time and consideration. Please understand that Hunters community stands united. You see us in our red, that means stop. Okay? It's a strong opposition to this variance request, and that we will continue to stay closely monitoring and actively participate in this process through the resolution. We are not going away.
Understood. Yes, ma'am. So, like I said, I already knew what was coming. I didn't expect any less. And so, again, we would ask if we can at least have a conversation. The things that some of the things that I've mentioned here today, but we would like to try and see if we can come to a point of mutuality. And I fully understand you don't want the access into that community. I've given at least one way that may not have to occur. I would have to go back and talk with Chief Lab. But I still would like to have that conversation. And whether it's with just the HOA board, or with the whole community. It doesn't matter to me which one, but we would ask to have some conversation. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Mhm. No, no. They want to hear you.
We did not receive the blue card in the mail, and nor did we receive get a white card with the Zoom meeting that you were,
Like I said, I think there was an issue that you probably will get it, but it didn't come in time for yesterday. Yes, ma'am.
did not receive that.
Yes, ma'am.
Boxton Trail.
Yes, ma'am.
Concern for us that we need to keep in touch.
Mhm.
My contact information, and you see, this is Hunter's.
Gotcha. If we, one question, if we give you the date and everything, would you be able to notify everybody as opposed to, that would be much better from our perspective. Okay.
So much.
So I will give you my card, and if you can give me, or you can email me or text me your information, and I will make sure that we set that meeting up. Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Yolanda Brewster. I do not stay on Hunters Hill. However, I stay off of Evans Mill.
Yes, ma'am.
And I oppose this development. My address is 3458 Lionsgate Court. I stay in the Lionsgate, of course, subdivision. And these are some reasons, not a lot. I'm just going to let you know some of the things that I oppose this new development. Number one, of course, the traffic. Evans Mill Road already suffers from heavy congestion. And this particular project will significantly increase the vehicle trips and the risk accident. There are a lot of schools in that area, and it will impact these commuters going to and from work. It will slow them significantly down if they do not work remotely. The infrastructure strain, the water, sewer, and storage water system are already at its capacity. Increasing the runoff will worsen the flood and drainage issue in the surrounding neighborhood, and the environment impact. That is one of the things that I'm very concerned with. The variance of the result of the green space, you're cutting down these trees, that is a big impact to me. I'm very ecosystem, I care about this, really do. And of course, I said the traffic, the home in that area. Most of those, the homes that where I'm at, they're 700K in a million. And with you building 47 more homes, that would decrease the value of our home. And I can't foresee it. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. So you told us on the call the home would be in the low 300s to 400. And I'm only going by what you told me versus the
price per square foot on these homes, though, you can't look at the actual amount. The price per square foot on these homes will be, what, Kevin, about in the two to 250. And your homes are much larger, but their price per square foot is actually lower. But I'm not here to argue that point, but I don't see how this project is going to influence yours, but I hear you.
Then I got it.
I don't know what proof you have of that, but I got you.
I'm a realtor, but I can show it to you.
That's fine.
There was some blasting last time behind the Lionsgate subdivision.
That was not our project.
Understand that.
Mhm.
And on the first issue that you guys had, Mr. Miles, he knew about the blasting. I have an email from him from February 15, 2022, and he quote, "We're not done with the blasting, but at this point,
I don't know who Mr. Miles is that you're referring to.
well, it was pertaining to the blasting. But because of that blasting, it actually damaged some of our homes, and he did not. He came out, took pictures, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So we were
That's a
happy.
different builder. I don't have anything to do with him.
When you're doing any type of blasting, it does impact the homes.
It can. It doesn't always, but it can, yes.
With that, let's say it does. What would happen in that scenario?
Then if the homes are within the radius, the blasting company, because I'm dealing with this in another part of unincorporated DeKalb, if the blasting company damages homes and it is verifiable, then they would have to compensate for those homes. That is the way that the state law works. And you can go to the state insurance commissioner.
Say that, but it didn't happen. We had to contact our insurance in order to get that rectified.
Yeah.
That's not fair. It's not fair to the community. It's not fair to these homes.
But we don't know that we're going to have that issue on our property.
That's that's what I
No,
wanted to say.
okay, the problem that she is talking about is about the property on the other side of us. I don't know, and we've already said that, well, we've done some studies, how Parkland handles things is going to be very different than how Meritage. All builders are not made alike.
Did say there will be some blasting.
I said that there may be, and Jim said that there may be, but if there were, they would be done in a much different way than it would be on the other one.
He did say it. You said maybe. He said yes, it will be, because I know one of my neighbor mentioned he like rebutted and said yes, it will. It will happen.
He said if they had to have, depending upon how deep they had to go with the sewer, would make that determination. But the bottom line here is, I understand what your concerns are. I understand what has happened with regards to the project on the other side. This project is not going out to Evans Mill over by where the Meritage project is, or over by Lionsgate. The ones that are most impacted definitely is Hunters Hill and Bramblevine. They are the folks who are going to bear, if there's a burden to bear, that's who's going to bear the burden. And so we are happy to, as I said, meet with Hunters Hill. We're happy to meet with the folks in Bramblevine because they are directly impacted by whatever we do.
The sign was in front of Lionsgate, and we want to come in and talk about it. I don't know if they got the sign or not. Was it in front of y'all? Okay. Yeah. So when it's
Right.
in front of our sign and our subdivision, of course we're going to address it.
All right.
And I just want to let you know I do oppose it.
Understood. I don't think there's not a single person in here that is supportive, so we don't have to worry about that. I got it.
So we understand you're doing your job. And thank you. I just have a question. Can you explain where the subdivision would be on Evans Mill?
There is nothing. Okay.
I mean, it has a Evans Mill address.
Ma'am, I understand exactly what you are saying. And what only thing I can tell you is that it may be possible that when this property was a part of a much larger tract and got subdivided, it was given that address. I have no idea why GIS gave it an Evans Mill address.
So where is
It does not abut.
so where is it?
The only way to access this property is either through Hunters Hill or, ma'am,
Oh, so it's
can you,
in the
can you,
woods.
don't say no,
Oh, I'm just
because that is the truth. The only way, the property has frontage, and I'm showing you here on this map. Hold
it's in
on.
the woods. Is it in the woods?
Right, it's just, right. It is a parcel that is undeveloped. If you
Oh,
go to the end,
It's not on
no,
Evans Mill.
no, ma'am. If you go to the end, I was over there today. I was in Hunters Hill and Bramblevine today. Somebody may have seen my car driving around through there. On Renard Trail, if you go to the very end, we have a sign there. That sign is on our property. If you go to the end of Fox Den Trail, there is a sign there that the city requires us to put on our property. That is the sign that you see because that's the property. It's right behind there. If you go over to Bramblevine at Foxcroft Court, you will see, well, actually, I need another sign because whoever on Bramblevine, they took the sign down because they have cars parked in the dead end. And I guess they didn't want to see the sign, so they took the sign down. But that is where the property is at. Those are the 3 points of access through which we can access, because the owner of the property has a right to access their property. They are not landlocked because they are abutting public streets.
So
But we have no access, and I'm showing you here, this is the end of our property line.
what's on the other side of the end of the property line? What's on the other side?
That is the Meritage project that's on the other side.
So
here.
So that's to Rock Springs, those
So-
homes that's being built
so-
at Rock Springs.
Okay, So here's the parcel that we have.
Uh-huh.
This is the parcel. If you go on to the city's map, you will see this parcel. The address, I don't understand. It is what it is. I don't have anything to do with GIS. This is the property where you've got the lots that were laid out for Meritage that comes off of Rock Springs.
So that's Rock Springs. Okay, let's just look at the map so we can understand. So show us Rock Springs on the map, please.
This is Rock Springs right here.
So that's Rock Springs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then if you come down, that's where the houses are being built by
Correct,
the developer.
correct. And we have no frontage on Evans Mill, not a single drop of our house.
So you are to the left in the blue of the houses that are being built on Rock Springs. Is that correct? Okay, and so basically, so at Evans Mill, there's no way to get in there. Okay, can you get in from Rock Springs? Okay, so can you get into that you all's lot from Rock Springs? So if that's Rock Springs up there, there's no area to build a street from Rock Springs to get to you all?
Mr. George is right back there. He's shaking his head. There's no access to Rock Springs, and there's no access to Evans Mill. Councilman, the mayor pro tem has made it very clear. There's no way to access through Rock Springs, and there's no way to access through Evans Mill. Okay?
So I think you all need to go back to the drawing board. Like I said,
There's no drawing board to go back to.
so
We only have, we have what we have.
you need to look at another area for interest because you need to.
There
really
is
look
no other area for
at
interest.
Rock Springs because that's a road, and you should try to find a way to get into your area.
There is no way to get there from Rock
without
Springs.
into another subdivision.
There is no way,
Right.
then I'm coming into their subdivision. I mean, their subdivision.
No, you can come in from Rock Springs Road.
Ma'am, we cannot, I don't
No.
want you to put out information that is incorrect. The mayor pro tem is sitting right back there. There is no way to get in unless we bought one of their lots, one of the homeowners' lots, and then we'd have to build a road.
Well, you know that you all have the money to do that, and that's what you need to look at. Versus
And so there are streams and other things there that prohibit us from doing that.
streams as well because we're on the bottom of Stone Mountain, so we have all this rock and streams in our community.
Ma'am, I can't argue with, I'm not
just-
argue, but I'm just saying,
Admit.
I can't do what you're asking me to do.
Well-
I have to work within the boundaries of the property that we have, and the boundary that we have is that lot right there where we have frontage on 3 public streets.
So that's in the woods on the other.
Ma'am, it's a lot just like yours was woods before it was bought,
Now that's
before it
just
was
one
developed.
area,
Like everybody's was before it was developed.
and the new subdivision on Rock Springs. I'm just
They still have wooded area. They will still have wooded area because we're not crossing over that wooded area.
we're trying to understand where you are talking about building. That's my question. That's all.
We're not talking about building anything near you. That part I do know. I'm saying we're not building over on that side. Our property, as I've already explained, and time is of the essence because there's another applicant here. Again, we have frontage on 3 streets: Foxcroft, Renard Trail, and Fox Den. That's where our 3 points of access come from. Those are the only 3 ways for us to access this property. So with that, I look forward to meeting with Hunters Hill. And hopefully we will be able to figure out something that will allow this project to continue forward. Yes, ma'am. Guys, I'm not going to be able to continue because right now, sir, we talked last night. So okay.
Only comment I have is none of the properties moved. It was the developer's own volition to sell everything that was developed by someone else. And now he's in a tight position.
He's not in a tight position. He has 3 points of entry.
if they're approved, and we're saying we're in position, and I'll be that short.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. I appreciate everybody's comments.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Miss Michelle Battle. We didn't get the name of the two last citizens that spoke. Can you just say your name into the mic? Cause y'all gotta remember, I do the meeting minutes.
Neva Jones Foster.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ratio Pigler.
Thank you, sir. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. For this application's last meeting is the Zoning Board of Appeals to be held on September 16th. And we have one more applicant, so can you guys exit quietly, please?
Please exit quietly. Please exit quietly.
Okay, so we're just gonna wait for them to clear out a little bit. Hello, everybody. Hello. We have one more applicant that still needs to present. If you guys can please finish your conversations in the lobby, we will greatly appreciate it. Turn on the blue light. No, it's okay. All right, you guys, can you please finish your conversations in the lobby? We have one more applicant that needs to present. All righty, so our last applicant for tonight is B25-006. Our petitioner is Mr. Phil Ryan. His parcel is located at 6029 Halladale Drive, and the request is for a variance from the distance requirement in section 4.2.19 of the city's code to operate a child daycare center. All right.
Yes. So I'll try to make this quick. What we're requesting is a variance reduction between an existing daycare. Our building, I wanted to make sure everyone realizes it was originally constructed in 1984 for a daycare. It was constructed specifically for the operation of a daycare, and it continued to operate for 36 years. I think it was a positive aspect for the community up until COVID. There was a legal dispute between a tenant and some other things that happened that allowed that license to expire, so it's been sitting there vacant for a little bit of time. So the building was, again, purposely built for a daycare. It's staffed for a daycare. The equipment's there for a daycare. Additionally, the property already has installed playground equipment that's been there, I guess, for 36 to 40 years. Went through and put together some considerations why you should allow the daycare to take place. There's an increased demand for child care services in the area. The city continues to grow. According to the comprehensive plan of the city of Stonecrest, the largest population growth is females between the ages of 25 and 29. And that's the demographic that is the most need in quality daycare. We think this also aligns with the city goals. The city recognizes the need for high-paying quality employment. The daycare will allow the people who live there to work there, take advantage of the hospital and the other opportunities. It also allows the property to be enhanced. If it's not a daycare, I don't know what it's going to be. It certainly won't be at the same level that we'd have with the daycare. The city also is positively trying to impact what would be considered vacant property. Right now, we're vacant property that needs to be maintained, and it would be better with the daycare. We also think it will help attract employment in the area. It will improve community services because it will offer affordable and accessible childcare to everybody. And we also think that there will not be any traffic or safety conditions since the property has already operated as a daycare center since 1984. It will probably also be less disruptive to alternative use. If it's not a daycare, it very well could be something that would be more traffic sensitive. Here are photographs of the interior as it is now. So again, the equipment, the chairs, the toys, it's all in place and has been in place. There's a floor plan that outlines how it will lay out for the child care. Aerial photo to show that there's no residential or anything around it that will be impacted. It's more in a commercial area. Here's our site plan and survey. A tax plat. And then this shows the existing daycare location that we're talking about in ours. So ours is the one that's marked 6029 Hillendale Road. The daycare that exists now is actually across 20. It's 692 feet away, but it's not easily accessible, even though it's 692 feet away. There would be a profound economic hardship on ownership if it's not allowed to take place. It would be the loss of the intended use. The marketability would be significantly reduced if it's not a daycare. I mean, the toilets and the sinks and everything in the entire building are constructed for small children, so it would be a significant reduced marketability. The cost of it continuing to be vacant. The loss of the community investment, again, it was built for a daycare. There'd be a significant depreciation and diminished property value. Statement of community needs and cost barriers. Working families everywhere in Metro Atlanta are facing a child care crisis. A lot of places have long wait lists, and costs continue to increase. If the need was met by building a new building, then that would do nothing but just drive the cost up for families who are looking for places for their kids. There's a shortage of daycare in the immediate area. And again, we think granting the variance will allow the community to benefit from the child care. She could not be here tonight, but we do have a lease pending signed with the current daycare operator. She operates 3 other locations, has 25 years experience, rated very well by right from the start. And I think what she does kind of speaks for herself. She'll have flexible hours. She offers other programs other than childcare. They offer dance, music, theater. She partners with families in need. Good operator. And then just had some Google reviews for her. And unless there's questions or comments, that's kind of it. Yes.
And please remember, we need you to speak into the mic.
Well, I'm Stella Clowers. I live in Stonecrest area. My address, if you need it, is 3518 Foxhound Run, Stonecrest. The property that you're speaking of, I think I'm familiar with it. I actually think I toured it. It was for sale, but it wasn't. I think it was privately for sale. And I came to see the property. So if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's headed east. It's down from the cemetery,
That is
but on
correct.
the left.
Yes.
Okay. It has huge frontage open.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What improvements will be made to just the classrooms? It is set up for daycare. I saw that. It's pretty big. But it was older furnishings, equipment. The kitchen was very outdated. And the playground equipment was very, very old. So you say there's going to be a leasee. Are you the owner of the property?
Yes.
Okay. So are you, even though the leasee may not ask for those upgrades, are you going to upgrade it at all? Because just as a resident of Stonecrest, want the children going there to have, you know, upgraded equipment, playground, all of it. Some of the playground equipment was very, very old.
The intent that she has is to upgrade the kitchen. The interior is in some significant need of work, so the exterior of the building will be painted and redone. The kitchen will be redone. Cannot speak to the playground equipment. You know, to my understanding, at least the tenant believes that it's fully operational. And then obviously she'll have to go through the inspections and things that she'll need to do, be licensed by the state. So you know, all that will have to be, and that's, I think, more of an issue between her and what right from the start will allow.
All right. So right now, what is Stonecrest requiring of you, the owner, that then causes you to ask for a variance? What is the issue?
We're within 1,000 feet of an existing daycare that opened while this one was closed. So this one operated from 1984 until the COVID pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Then a legal issue happened. So we were sitting there for about 24, 30 months unoperational. While that took place, another daycare received a license across 20. So we need a variance to allow two to operate within 1,000 feet of each other.
The other item that I have a concern about that I observed when I toured the property, next door there is an apartment complex. And I saw that some of the fencing and what have you was in disrepair, allowing individuals to come onto the property. You have children there and staff there. If I'm not mistaken, there are apartment buildings whose property come up against your property.
How can I get it back on the screen? If you're looking at our property, to the right is a vacant piece. There is a convenience store on the front, and then the other piece is vacant. My understanding is I believe the cemetery has actually bought that land and for future development. So we do not have an apartment complex next to us.
Okay, so maybe this is not the same property I'm thinking of.
Yes.
Oh, you're by the Shell station. Yeah, I said headed east.
Okay.
You were past the cemetery on the left.
Okay.
No, you're right there where Hillendale Road transitions and goes across and turns into Chubb Road.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Rising
Misunderstood, yeah.
Star or something like, I forget what the name of it is. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know much about that property. So I guess I will just leave a question to Stonecrest. What is happening to the property that I'm speaking of? There is a large daycare property on Hillendale Road, just past the cemetery. And I've often, when I pass by it, I'm wondering what's going on there because it is 100% equipped for a daycare. So just as you said, your property can't be used for anything other than a daycare, I would say the same thing is true of that property, unless someone comes in and just completely, gut it and change it. So I would, like you mentioned, look for a holistic plan. So City of Stonecrest, I would just like, as a citizen, just ask for an answer to that question. In considering this variance, also look at the property on Hillendale, east of the cemetery on the left, which is also, as far as I know, either for sale to someone to be a daycare center. Y'all familiar with that?
That may be something that we will have to look into. If you want, we can give you our contact information and try to contact you about that later.
Other than that, I don't have any reason to oppose your request for variance of that property that you own.
Thank you.
All right. Did anybody else want to make a comment? If not, thank you so much, Mr. Phil Ryan. So for this application, it will also be seen again at the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting that will be held on September 16th, next month. That is the last meeting, if all goes well, if they don't defer your application. The planning and zoning staff, while they're doing their staff reports, they may contact you to see if there's like any information they would need for their staff report, but for right now, I don't think so. But they'll let you know. Alrighty. Yes, ma'am. Oh, no, you're fine.
Yeah, one,
I'm listening to you.
for all of the ones that were on this, all of the ones that are on the agenda for tonight, is the next date September 16th as well?
No, ma'am. So for the variance application, so that was B 25005 and B 25006. Their next meeting is the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is September 16th. But for the rezoning case, that one goes to Planning Commission, which is September 2nd. And then it has another meeting that it goes to, which is Mayor and City Council, which is September 22nd.
Right, September 4th, and then
September 2nd, and Planning Commission, September 2nd, and then Mayor and City Council, which is September 22nd, and that's for the rezoning case. And then for the variances, they only go to Zoning Board of Appeals, which is September 16th. And if you want, I can give you the calendar as well.
just wanted to make.
Are you here for the rezoning or the Cove Lake? No, so that, the next one is September 2nd for that one. You're welcome. Alrighty, so that concludes the community planning information meeting for tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming, and we'll see you guys at the next meeting. Okay.